everyone, and welcome back, especially all my homework club kids. Hey guys, I really miss you. I hope you're doing well and staying safe. What do we have planned for today, you're asking? Well, if you're familiar with our videos, you know that we are going to be reading some books. Our first book is actually going to be a special Disney book. I'm excited to read it. And the book we read at the end of our video, our chapter book right now, is George's Marvelous Medicine. And guys, it's such a treat to get to read this every video. If you haven't been following along with this story, oh my goodness, guys. When I tell you this is the craziest story that I've ever read, it's the craziest story I ever read, I promise. And I would recommend it so much. So make sure you stick around and read our book with us. But before we jump into our first book, let's talk about our riddle. So, our riddle today, it's a fun one. I think you guys are gonna like it. What do you call a sad strawberry? I'll let you guys think on it, and as always at the end of the video, after we finish reading our George's Marvelous Medicine, we will figure out the answer together. Alright guys, let's go read our first book. I hope you guys are ready because we are about to jump into our first book. We are going to be reading Moana today, guys, and I am so stinking excited, if you couldn't tell, because I love this story. I think it's an amazing story filled with strength, compassion, bravery, and it's pretty funny. So let's jump into this book and see what we learn. Moana Finds the Way. Te Fiti is an island. She once gave life to all. The demigod Maui stole Te Fiti's heart. Maui lost the heart. Darkness spread. People stopped sailing on the open ocean. Moana lives on an island. She loves the ocean. It gives her a shiny gift. It is the heart of Te Fiti. Moana grows up. Grandma Tala shows her a cave full of boats. Moana's people once loved to sail. Moana thinks she would love to sail too. Grandma Tala tells Moana she must find Maui and return Te Fiti's heart. Moana agrees. She will sail. She will wayfind. Moana does not know how to sail, but she loves the ocean. She tries to sail. A storm comes. Moana is lost. Moana finds Maui. Maui does not think Moana can learn to wayfind. He does not want to help. The ocean makes him teach her. That was a really funny part of the movie if you guys saw it. Moana must learn to use the sun. She must learn to feel the waves. Moana works hard. She uses the stars. She feels the waves. She finds the way. Monster Taka comes. Big waves rock the boat. Moana sails fast. She holds on. Taka is strong. Moana is smart. She finds a way. Moana returns the heart of Te Fiti. The darkness leaves. The plants grow. Te Fiti blooms. Life returns to the islands. Moana finds her way back home. Her family is happy to see her. Moana leads her people to new islands. She is a great wayfinder. She is Moana. All right, guys, that was it. That was Moana. And I gotta say, I love it. Still a good story, still good lessons to learn. If you guys caught on, she keeps finding a way. That means that, hey, when even there was a problem in front of her, she said, I'm not gonna let this stop me. I'm going to continue and try my best. And I think that's something we can all learn from. All right, so now that we've read our book, let's move to our positive action. For our positive action or positive tip today, we are going to be focusing in on one specific emotion, the emotion of love. This is an emotion that is super powerful, arguably one of the most powerful forces on the planet. And it's because it's what connects us all, what allows us to feel and be human. When we love something, we care about it, right? Love is defined as unconditional caring about something or someone. But what does it mean to love something unconditionally? That means to love something with no conditions. So, you know how sometimes you're making a deal with someone and they'll say, all right, I'll trade you my toy truck for your stuffed animal on one condition. You have to run around the house and scream a silly song while hopping backwards. Seems like a silly condition, right? Well, when we love people with conditions, it's also silly because people are humans. Human people do not operate under conditions. Love is unconditional. There's also different types of love. A lot of people only focus on romantic love, love between partners. But there's all different types of love. There's love between friends, between families, between, like, you love your dog, you love your family pet, right? I know I love my dog. There's all different types of love. Love is not just one thing. So don't let anybody convince you otherwise. The reason I wanted to talk today about love was because I think the world needs a little bit more of it. So let's talk about some ways we can share love and kindness in our lives with the people that we love. So I want you to think of 3 or 4 people that you love, that you care for unconditionally. And I want you to think, how could I show them I love them today? Whether it's helping mom clean the dishes, helping your sister with her summer work, helping your brother clean up his room, helping your cousin pick up outside, anything like that. How can you show someone you love them? That is my challenge for you guys today. Spread a little love and kindness. All right, so now that we've talked about love, let's move on to our chapter book. I sure as heck love that book. Oh, hey, sorry, I was just catching up and I wanted to see the picture of the chicken with the giant neck again. Pretty crazy, right? And this craziness is just the beginning. If you guys are tuning in, please make sure to go catch the rest of the craziness that we have been reading on here because oh my gosh, where to even begin? So I'm going to just jump right back in. As you guys remember, they had just tried Marvelous Madison number 3, but wasn't going so well. So we're going to see what happens. The chicken's neck is really long. We'll see what Mr. Cranky says because I'm sure he's going to be cranky about it. So less chatting from me, more reading. All right, George, Mr. Cranky said. What else have you forgotten? I don't know, George said. Oh, yes you do, Mr. Cranky said. Come along, boy, think. There's probably just one vital thing missing, and you've got to remember it. I put in some engine oil from the garage, George said. Did you have that on your list? Eureka, cried Mr. Cranky. That's the answer. How much did you put in? Half a pint, George said. Mr. Cranky ran to the garage and found another half pint of oil and some antifreeze. George called after him. I sloshed in a bit of antifreeze. Marvelous Medicine number 4. Oh my gosh. Can you guys believe they're trying it this many times? Ah. Back in the kitchen once again, George, with Mr. Cranky watching him anxiously, tipped half of the pint of engine oil and some antifreeze into the giant saucepan. Boil it up again, cried Mr. Cranky. Boil it and stir it. George boiled it and stirred it. You'll never get it right, said Miss Cranky. Don't forget, you don't just have to have the same things, but you've got to have exactly the same amounts of those things. And how could you possibly do that? You keep out of this, cried Mr. Cranky. We're doing fine. We've got it this time. You'll see. This was George's Marvelous Medicine number 4, and when it had boiled for a couple of minutes, George once again carried a cupful of it into the yard. Mr. Cranky ran after him. Miss Cranky followed more slowly. You're going to have mighty chickens around here if you keep going on like this, she said. Dish it out, George, cried Mr. Cranky. Give a spoonful to that one over there, he pointed to the brown hen. George knelt down and held out the spoon to try the new medicine. Chick, chick, he said. Try some of this. The brown hen walked over and looked at the spoon. It went peck. Ow, it said. Then a funny whistling noise came out of its beak. Watch it grow, shouted Mr. Cranky. Don't be too sure, said Miss Cranky. Why is it whistling like that? Keep quiet, woman, cried Mr. Cranky. Give it a chance. They stood there staring at the brown hen. It's getting smaller, George said. Look at it, Dad. It's shrinking. And it indeed was. In less than a minute, the hen had shrunk so much it was no bigger than a new hatched chick. It looked ridiculous. Oh no, they're not finding a lot of success. Here you guys can see the opposite of the chicken with the long neck. Little baby chicken. So we are on to Goodbye, Grandma. There's still something you've left out, Mr. Cranky said. I can't think what it could be, George said. Give it up, Miss Cranky said. Pack it in. You'll never get it right. Mr. Cranky looked very forlorn. George looked pretty fed up, too. He'd still been kneeling on the ground with the spoon in one hand and the cup full of medicine in the other. The ridiculous tiny brown hen was walking slowly away. At that point, Grandma came striding into the yard. From her enormous height, she glared down at the three people below her and shouted, What's going on around here? Why hasn't anyone brought me my morning cup of tea? It's bad enough having to sleep in the yard with the rats and the mice. But, being bellowed, if I'm not to starve as well, no tea, no eggs and bacon, no buttered toast. I'm sorry, Mother, Miss Cranky said. We've been terribly busy. I'll get you something right away. Let George get it, the lazy little brute, Grandma shouted. Just then, the old woman spotted the cup in George's hand. She bent down and peered into it. She saw what was full of brown liquid. It looked very much like tea. Hi-ho, she cried. Ha, ha, ha. So, that's your little game, is it? You look after yourself all right, don't you? You make sure you've got a nice cup of morning tea, but you didn't think to bring your poor old grandma any. I always knew you were a selfish pig. No, Grandma, George said. This isn't... Don't lie to me, boy, the enormous hag shouted. Pass it up here this minute. No, cried Mrs. Cranky. Not Mother. Don't. Now you're against me too? Shouted Grandma. My very own daughter trying to stop me from having breakfast, trying to starve me out. Mr. Cranky looked up at the horrid old woman and smiled sweetly. Of course it's for you, Grandma, he said. You take it and drink it while it's nice and hot. Don't think I won't, Grandma said, bending down from her great height, reaching out a huge horny hand for the cup. Hand it over, George. No, no, Grandma, George cried, pulling the cup away. You mustn't. You're not supposed to have it. Give it to me, boy, Grandma yelled. Don't, cried Miss Cranky. That's George's marvelous. Everything's George around here, shouted Grandma. George this, George that. I'm fed up with it. Oh my gosh. She's really, really mean. She's like evil. Oh my gosh. I really don't like Grandma. Oh. I didn't even have to read anything. I'll show you guys the picture so you guys can have the same effect I did. Something's happening with Grandma. She snatched the cup of tea out of little George's hand and carried it high up out of reach. Drink up, Grandma, Mr. Cranky said, grinning hugely. Lovely tea. No, the other two cried. No, no, no. But it was too late. The ancient beanpole had already put the cup to her lips, and in one gulp she swallowed everything that was in it. All right, guys, that is where we are going to stop. Make sure to tune into our next video because I'm pretty sure we will either be finishing it in the next video or the following video. And I mean, I want to know what happens to Grandma. So tune in. All right, and now that we've read, guys, it is time to talk about our riddle. You guys probably remember our riddle from the beginning of the video, but just in case you don't, let me help jog your memory. Our riddle today was, what do you call a sad strawberry? Did you figure it out? This is a fun one. It's a goofy one. The answer is a blueberry. Get it? Because you're feeling blue, but there's also a thing called a blueberry. I thought it was really funny. It brought me a little bit of joy today, and I hope it brings you a little bit of joy today. All right, guys, that's it. That's our video for today. Tune in tomorrow for some awesome science experiments. Until then, thank you guys for watching.